On this episode of the John1911 Podcast, Remington files for bankruptcy. CMP gets its first batch of 1911s. Shooting the VTAC drill with a Colt SP1. And it's crazy how we deal with crazy in this country. Good morning, everybody. This is Marky and Freeze, and this is episode 86 of the John1911 Podcast. How's your night, Freeze?
Not bad.
That's good. We've been talking for a minute, now you just said not bad. You sound like you're tired all of a sudden. Is this an act? Are you acting for the audience?
No.
You're like, fine.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. We were sitting here, we were talking, and not to get ahead of ourselves, but I want to do it. So, about 5 people that listen to our podcast know what a Steyr-Hahn is. And so, Freeze had sent me a photograph of a Steyr-Hahn. Let me take a look at this. Of a Steyr-Hahn pistol that has it's got like a lucite or Lexan grip panel in it with some kind of Japanese half-naked anime girl in it. But the thing is, if you know, for the 5 people that know what a Steyr-Hahn is, that's a World War I Austro-Hungarian Empire pistol. And where did you get this picture?
I don't know. I ran across it on the internet, and I don't know if, you can't see the faces of the people. I don't know if it's somewhere in the Middle East, or I don't know if it's, like South America, and I'm sure there's people that are into the whole Japanese anime, Pokemon, whatever bullshit will recognize the figure on the grip panel. But it's like, it's like somewhere in the world, someone's got a very well-used Steyr-Hahn customized with Japanese anime grip panels, and they're still running it.
Yeah, I'm looking at this photograph. It's like a zoomed-in photo. It's in somebody's hand, so you're kind of looking down at it, and you can see, men standing around it. On the ground, you can see ammo cans. They look to be U.S. NATO-style ammo cans. And in the dude's hand, he's actually holding 2 strips of ammunition. Well, maybe 3. Could be 3 strips of ammo. And the traditional Steyr... The traditional Steyr-Hahn uses, it's called 9mm Steyr. It's was that 9x23 or something?
Yeah. First off, I want to know where the hell they're getting ammo.
They're all getting ammo from it. They're all getting it from it's PPU makes it. They make it in batches. Beyond, and PPU sells worldwide. So if they're getting ammo, they're getting it from PPU. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, this photograph, was it portrayed to you as this is in like the jungles of some shithole country, or is this in the U.S.?
No, it wasn't portrayed anywhere.
Okay, so we don't know. This could be in like Arkansas. Because like one guy's got blue jeans on. It looks like they're all wearing old combat boots. Like old combat boots. Like it almost looks to me like a bunch of kids that are playing dress up in a way. If this is in the U.S. I don't know. That's pretty neat, though. You know what? We're talking about something no one can see. We'll post pictures of it on the blog and the comment section. That's becoming very popular. I figured out when we talk about things, I link or post stuff about it in the comment section of when we post the podcast, and that seems to be really driving a lot of traffic. So, I thought that was, kind of interesting thing. So, all right. Did you hear? I hate to, I don't want to talk about the school shooter in Florida. We posted about it on the blog. I'm trying because, it's all the same goddamn problem. These crazy fucking people. And, they go crazy and no one does shit until they finally do something that they end up in jail because we can't put crazy people, we can't lock them up. And, you can visit the blog page. So if you're listening to this podcast and you want us to talk about the Florida school shooting, it's not going to happen today. I can't. It's the same, go to the blog page, read the post. We're not doing it. It's a waste of time.
Yes.
Did you hear Remington is filed for bankruptcy?
I did.
Have you heard anything about like what the problem is? I mean, I haven't really heard.
I haven't heard what the problem is.
I mean, other than like they don't have any goddamn money. So.
Well, I mean, look, they're in New York. New York just hammered because of the Trump tax cut. All the businesses that are going to take a tax cut. New York just dumped a huge tax on to offset. It's like any tax cuts a business is going to get, they have to give to like the state of New York.
Are you sure they're in New York? I mean, they have facilities in. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Remington's headquartered in New York still.
That would be interesting. Okay, well, okay. So, okay, go ahead. So, you think it's because it's a tax situation? Well,
I mean, I don't know about.
Boom! You're right. Remington Museum and Country Store, located in Ilion, New York. Are they still in New York?
I don't know. I don't know. Everyone's been moving around the past couple of years. They may have moved with everyone else. I don't know where their worldwide headquarters is. So who knows? And look, I don't know their financials. I mean, Remington's been taking a pretty good beating on firearm sales lately.
Yeah,
but their ammo sales have to be doing well.
Yeah, okay, I found more information here. It looks like, okay, now this is Remington Arms Company, LLC. They're showing Madison, North Carolina. But then I do know they've got, well, do you know what? You're right. I mean, you're actually more right than because I know they've got like a plant and they at least had a plant in Kentucky, and I think they opened up something somewhere else. They have spread around, but like this is showing Remington Arms Company LLC, Madison, North Carolina, their corporate headquarters. Then site locations, other contact information, the Ilion Firearms Plant in Ilion, New York, and then they've got the Rock Custom Center. So is that their custom shop? I don't know what that is. That's in Ilion, New York. And then they've got the ammunition, the ammo plant in Arkansas. I think you and I had driven by that. Going to the we drove by that quite a bit for a little bit. Going to the what's the name of the base down there we went to? Redstone Arsenal. That's right.
Yeah.
And then excuse me, they're showing Hickory, Kentucky.
Yeah, but isn't Remington?
Yeah, they're owned by
the. Well, I think they're called.
Is it Cerberus or BlackRock or one of those?
Yeah, I think it's like AAC now, like Advanced Armament Corp or something like that. It used to be. What the hell did they?
Oh, you're dead ass wrong on that one. AAC was a suppressor company that was bought by, I think, the people that own Remington, and they got into a big giant lawsuit.
Yeah, but what's the name of that parent company? God, it's on the tip of my tongue. They own like Bushmaster and Tapco and Barnes Bullets, and they own Marlin and.
I'm thinking of it's Cerberus used to own. I mean, I'm going to go through the big ones: Cerberus, BlackRock, Freedom Group.
Yeah, maybe it's Freedom Group I'm thinking of that owns all these. They gobbled up like Bushmaster and Marlin. Didn't they buy up Remington as well?
Yeah. They're check this out. When did this happen? Remington Outdoor Company, Rock. Remember the Rock we were referring to? Mm-hmm. Formerly known as Freedom Group.
Okay.
The parent company has changed their name. is an American firearms manufacturer holding company which was acquired by notable brands such as Bushmaster, DPMS, Remington, and Marlin. So, okay, did Remington Outdoor Company file for bankruptcy, or is it a subsidiary that filed for bankruptcy?
Good question.
That's interesting. Because I know Marlin's been trying to come back from their quality control issues, but
I think Marlin's doing a pretty good job. I mean, they've worked out a lot of their problems.
Remington, I think somebody told me that they might be like $500 million in debt or something.
Wow. I don't know.
And it's just like that's not really a company anymore. I mean, look, if this is, I'm going to get into a little off into a tangent here. Like, let's say you and I had a company where our goal was to go public. So we're expanding and we're building and we're expanding and we're building, and we start to take on investors. Okay. Let's say we got to have somebody come in, VC sugar daddy dude. He's going to come in and give us $100 million, and then he is going to take 30% of the company. So we all own, 33 1/3. So we're all kind of equal partners. As we progress down the line, the VC dude wants to get paid and he wants to exit, probably get his money back. We want to build a company. So as we progress, and if we need to spend more money and we don't want to give up any more ownership, what you do is you start running debt. So that way, instead of diluting your shares, your company's going in the debt with the understanding that you're going to take it public, and then that will either offset, wipe out, or simply negate your debt because your street value, will just, you're $100 million in debt, but you launch an IPO, it's $1 billion IPO, and we're all sitting pretty. So unless you're planning on going public, running all this kind of debt, to me, is not a good deal. I don't understand why this company that's owned by all these people, that's a publicly traded company, has all this goddamn debt.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's a shit show. Yeah. I mean, look, if you actually you want to talk about Remington, dude, let's be real for a second, okay? Because you're not in this, but you've seen it. Look at all of these custom gun shops all around the country. They make complete guns, or they make actions, or they do all of this stuff. Whether they're $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 Uber, whatever gun, or they're little parts guns. How many of these guns use Remington 700 actions, but none of them use Remington parts?
Oh man, a lot of them.
Almost all of them. Hardly anybody builds a high-end gun like the competition guns or these cool guy guns or the PRS guns using Winchester Model 70 Mauser actions. They'll take a Remington action. It'll be custom, and they may tweak it. They'll fluff it. They'll, they'll make it a controlled feed, or they'll do this, or they'll do that. But it's, hold on. Excuse me. It's like three brain cells off from being a Remington 700 action. And it's like, I never understood why the hell Remington doesn't try to jump into that end of the pool and start making high-end actions and selling to that market. They just keep cranking out the same bullshit all the time that no one likes.
Yeah.
Not to be a super dick, but how many Remington 700s does a FUD hunter buy? Gun douches buy guns. FUDs buy, they buy one or two. They're done. You see what I mean? Like, I just don't even understand what the thought process is over there with that. They've abdicated the Remington 700 action. As a matter of fact, it's so common now, people just call it the 700 action. Remington doesn't even exist in that universe. Imagine having like a 1911 business where Colt wasn't even trying.
Well,
I mean, that's crazy.
You know, I don't know. I mean,
you don't want to. I know you like Remington.
Look, I mean, they've got a great ammo business. They've got a great shotgun market share. You know,
I've heard there's been problems with their shotguns, their 870s. Go ahead.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. You know,
Yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, it's like a company that's not run by gun people.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've got a great hunting market. I mean, you know, the Remington rifles, their 22s, their shotguns, their ammo. I mean, I don't see how they can be in bad enough shape to file bankruptcy, unless the only thing I can think of is because they're part of this whole freedom group thing. Maybe they're basically just the dead weight from the other companies. They're all combined somehow, and it's a Remington thing. I don't know.
Yeah, because you know what? I haven't looked at it that closely. Is Remington Arms the manufacturing company declaring bankruptcy, or is it the parent company that owns all that shit declaring bankruptcy? Like,
Yeah.
that's weird. Like, and it looks like they changed their name.
Well, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. You know, that's, you know, people change their names all the time for, you know, tax reasons.
John1911.com.
Yeah.
That wasn't for tax reasons, though. Don't even start.
No, but I mean, you know, there's all kinds of reasons to change the name of your business.
Yeah. Well, but you know, just like the idea, like the example I gave, are people, you know, selling off ownership percentages of your company versus running debt. You make a decision which way you want to go, where you want to end up. This company's declared bankruptcy now. They changed their name from Freedom Group to Remington. It wasn't but 5 minutes ago. They knew this was coming. I wonder what the plan is. Something's up here. I don't know what, because I'm not that deep into their business. But is it a ploy for Freedom Group? So they can say, Remington can't go out of business. You got to give us some money, you know, some line of credit, or, you know, I don't know, like, oh, we got to bail out Remington. You know, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
you know, I mean, look, Remington's got some military contracts. They do a couple things. I would shut down everything Remington does. I'd keep their military stuff. Just if they were like, Marky, take Remington right now, I'd run that motherfucker into a goddamn giant industry. Keep the goddamn military stuff, because that's brand and that's credibility, and it's you know, it's not going to hurt you. And then shut all this other shit down, and then start looking around and be like, okay, we're going to go into the action business, and we're going to go into the barrel business, and we're going to start making barrels that are as competitive, as good as anybody out there. And people listening to this right now that think you can't do that, no one ever heard of Faxon Firearms 3 goddamn years ago, or 5. And then the second thing is, I would go into the action business. To be like, I would look at all my competitors out there that are making, quote, 700 actions. I would look at the features they're offering, and I would start to make super high quality actions that I could sell on a direct market. And then, as I started to see what was selling and getting a reputation for my parts, I would start to identify which things are the most common. I would open up a small custom shop, and I would start taking orders, and, you know, and we would start building Remington custom guns, you know, per order. And then we would run that for 18 to 24 months. And, you know, I'm not saying it'd be super successful, but it would build the brand up, and you would have credibility. People out there that are running your parts and be like, look how good this gun shoots. This is awesome. The new Remington's great. And then, you know, putting together these custom guns, and then what you start to do, after you do that for a couple years, you identify you come up with a couple of, say, custom guns that are packages that you can make at the same quality level. Like, we're going to make a lightweight hunter one, we're going to make a tactical one, and you can choose one of two. And then we're going to sell those, and those will be 30 to 40% cheaper than what a full house custom gun is, because you're buying this off the shelf, and these guns shoot just as good as everybody else's gun, and they have your name on them, and they have the credibility. You remember, if it's not a Colt, it's a copy. You know, if it's not a Remington, it's a Remph, and then rinse and repeat, and slowly start to rebuild the brand with as much IP as you've got. I literally don't understand how these companies, these old companies with all of this name recognition, end up in this space. The only thing I can think of, remember the old movie where, who was his name? Robert De Niro played Al Capone, and he's walking around the table with the baseball bat bashing people. Yeah. That is what I would be doing, because they were like, hey, Marky, would you take over, get Remington out of, get Remington running. This is a fucking shit show. My response would be, okay, I'm the dictator. I don't report to the fucking board. I don't report to the fucking stockholders. I don't report to anybody. I'm a goddamn dictator. And those are my terms. It's either my way or the fucking chopping block. Do you agree? And this is not that hard.
Yeah.
It's just not. It makes you mad when you think about it. So,
yeah, it does, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, and I haven't really dived deep into it either, to be honest with you. But it's like how I just find it hard to believe Remington is in this position.
Yeah, I don't want to do that whole, stupid Wall Street, stupid people, because a lot of gun guys in particular will fall into that trap, and they'll want to badmouth people, businessmen. Remington's, they probably don't have real gun people that have a real feel for and a passion for guns, like in the upper echelons of this company. There may be one guy or one girl, but, she has to answer to a board, or she has to live and die on a 13-week cycle. 13 weeks is a financial quarter, and whereas if you need to build this company up from zero into its brand value, you can't live on a 13-week cycle. I literally just laid out a 5-year plan, a 6-year plan to bring Remington's brand back. I can't do it in 13 weeks, and I can't do it in 52 weeks.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And that's what these people are doing. It's just bullshit. Remember how everybody thought for sure the Hearing Protection Act was going to pass? It's a slam dunk, whatever, and all this stuff. And then, and then then it was, we're going to refund all your tax stamps. And, so like the sales of suppressors have collapsed because everybody's been waiting for to take these suppressors off the NFA, and it's just killing these suppressor companies. Well, there's more news on the financial front. Smith & Wesson wanted to buy Gentech. They signed a deal to buy Gentech, and I don't know, it might have been for, $5-7 million. It wasn't a whole lot of money. Well, apparently Gentech just sued S&W during SHOT Show because apparently they signed a contract, they paid some money up front, and then it was, over the next couple months we're going to make a couple more payments. They tranching the payments out. Apparently Smith & Wesson has stopped making the payments. And so Gentech's taking them to court, breach of contract, So now, is this going to wreck Gentech too? Because I know, whoever bought AAC, they wrecked that company. And then Silencer Co. is in major dire straits because of all the thing I described, because of no one's buying suppressors. And then Smith & Wesson bought Gentech, supposedly, and they haven't been paying their bills. It's a fucking wreck.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess all the winners are all these people, all these small-time suppressor companies. Because there's been a lot of people that are jumping into the suppressor game. Like, who was it? Like, they bought a bunch of shirts from us. They were an 07. And they were, I don't know, down in maybe Georgia. They were down in the South somewhere. And, they could do SBRs, they could do this, and they were like, we make suppressors. And I'm like, really? And I remember thinking, as like some of this stuff was happening, I was thinking, you guys are going to get squeezed out by the majors because the volume of suppressor, because Ruger's even gone into the suppressor business. Well, the suppressor business has been so disrupted because all these companies that have leveraged large amounts of money in anticipation of all these suppressor sales are all collapsing because they're not making any sales. Where these mom and pop shops that have crewed up and they're ready to go, that doesn't hurt them. They can just wait. They sell suppressor here and there. Their business is their gun store. Their business is their, whatever the stuff they're doing. So
yeah, like SIG's making suppressors now.
Yeah, what? This doesn't hurt SIG at all. Doesn't hurt them at all.
No, not at all. And because the suppressor market's not their bread and butter. But they started making them, because they saw where things were going. And hey, if things change, no big deal. They'll still sell suppressors.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's fine. Speaking of, what the hell was it? Something, let me look. What was it with SIG? SIG is trying to get the contract. The Army's put out a contract for a CQB rifle. I swear to God, it's almost like they're listening to us. Do you remember all the goddamn hate we got? Well, let's be honest, I got for kind of not being like the biggest fan of 300 Blackout.
Yes.
And, oh my God, especially on the blog, we had all these people coming in and just hating all over me. And just crazy retarded stuff. And, they were all just so butthurt. And my basic idea with the 300 Blackout is, there's all these kids buying this because they think it's, forget 5.56, 300 Blackout's where it's at. And it's like, whoa, they're not even the same universe, brother. The only thing 300 Blackout does really, really, really well, that's what it's really designed for, is to replace the MP5. Uber suppressed. If you need to get into a gunfight at room clearing distances with an uber suppressed weapon, so the guys 2 rooms away don't hear you or you all die, hold on. 300 Blackout is the way to go. And turns out SOCOM has put out a RFP for let me see here. An RFP for a CQB gun, and it might even be so they can convert. SIG might actually sell uppers to the Army to convert existing M4s to 300 Blackout for that purpose.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? And it's like, that's kind of what the gun's good for. Because if you need to, get into that the uber suppressed gunfight at room clearing distances, and then step out onto the street and take a shot at 150 yards, you can do it with 300 Blackout. 9mm, you can do anything you want to do with a MP5. It's not optimal. 300's more better. Yeah. And it's like, oh, look, it's exactly what they want to goddamn do with it. Nobody wants to go to war with 300 Blackout, but for special mission use, for in the building, and maybe when you step out of the building, when you're running to the helicopter, 300 Blackout could be interesting.
Yeah. Well, and we've talked about this before. It has its purposes, but it's not the end all be all.
No. And but, look, I'll say it like this. Here, I'm not saying I will never buy a 300 Blackout, but what I am saying is I'm very unlikely to ever buy a semi-automatic or fully automatic weapon in 300 Blackout because, again, like the suppressed gun, uber suppressed gunfight at room clearing distances. You don't fire one bullet at room clearing distances. You fire 30. If you can get away with it, you fire 1 million. Like 300 blackout in like a bolt action gun. Like there's the B&T has this cool little takedown, integrally suppressed gun that they're bringing into the U.S. It's in 300 blackout, and it's this cool little package. I mean, the only reason I don't buy that gun is because it's just so expensive. It's just not even worth my trouble. But yeah, 300 blackout to say shoot at varmints with a bolt gun, 300 I mean, it's like shooting 6.5 284 or 7mm Remington. I mean, or 7mm, any of all these calibers that are kind of like semi or more bolt action calibers, I don't have to feed them. But if you want me to dump a round into an AR-15 or any kind of semi-automatic weapon, when I crack open that case on the side of it, it better say 300 blackout NATO on the fucking side of it, and I can buy cases of 500 or 1,000. I'm just being real. That's kind of, again, all these kids get on the internet, and they all circle jerk each other on the keyboard, but they don't actually shoot these fucking guns, so they don't know what's involved feeding them.
300 blackout is the same as the 338 Lapua. Everyone jumped on it until they realized they couldn't afford to shoot it.
338 Lapua, I will admit, is worse than that. And dude, yeah. You know what? If there's people listening to us that maybe are new and haven't listened to us for a while, if you're in the market for a 338, and I'm not going to go into why that's good or bad. Hopefully you figured out if you want a 338 Lapua, which it's a cool round. Do not buy a goddamn new one. Go to any one of these uber cool guy, we're cool, you're not gun forums, and go into their for sale sections, their, whatever they call them, and you look for 338 Lapua rifles, and it's a bloodbath. And you won't see any of these guns. Oh yeah, these oh man, that's a lot of rounds for that 338 Lapua. I don't know, that could be shot out. Yeah, you don't ever see that bullshit either.
No, you never see that.
No, and it's just like, I mean, we have 338, and I haven't shot that gun in like 2 years, and I'm not going to shoot it until we at least push out to 900 yards on the new range. And here's the truth: 900 yards for 338 Lapua, that's still kind of a waste of money.
Man, that's like shooting a .22 rifle at 10 yards.
I mean, 338 Lapua doesn't even kind of like start to even like wake up until 1,500 yards.
I was just going to say 338 doesn't start to chub till 1,500, 1,600 yards. I mean, look.
For $5, there's $3 to $5 a shot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, the same thing, with 338. It's like, okay, for the average person, unless you live out in the desert somewhere where you got a 15-mile shot, just get a 300 Win Mag. You're going to do everything that you would do with your 338 because you don't have the room for it, and it's affordable. And again, I go back to the 300 blackout and just go, just shoot 5.56 subsonic and you're fine.
Well, no, 5.56 subs. I'm not. Yeah, you just jumped off the cliff there. 5.56 subsonic is like you're in a like 22.
No,
22
but if you're running a suppressed rifle in room clearing distances and you want uber quiet, do 5.56 subsonic, and then when you get outside, drop a mag and throw regular 5.56 in it, and then you've got 300-yard shots. It's more practical.
Yeah, you're still no, because the power that a subsonic 223 ammo, 5.56 ammo is so weak. The real power of 5.56 comes in how fast it goes.
I understand that.
You're better off putting a 4-foot can on a 5.56 gun and running supersonic ammo on it. You're better off stretching the can out.
No one wants a 4-foot can when you're room clearing, though.
But here's the thing: all the people that we're talking to right now, none of them room clear. They're not even. They don't even shoot. They're not even. They're not. They're civilians.
Okay. You got a valid point there. there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, this fake argument that it's
yeah, okay, yeah, you're right, because no one is room clearing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah, that's, again, keeping it real, you got to feed these guns, so what the hell was it? So anyway, SIG MCX in 300. I get the MCX and the MCP. MCP is 9mm, right?
The MCX, I like the MCX. Would I want one in 300 blackout?
No.
No.
No. You're not getting that at goddamn Armory.
No. No, I mean, no. Why?
No, I mean, like, I would be interested in an MCX in 5.56 at some point in the future.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I like the MCX. I thought you were saying MCX and 300 blackout. I'm like, why?
No, like, there's MCX, and I was at a gun store.
Actually, I think they make the MCX in 7.62x39. I would be interested in that.
7.62x39, the original 300 blackout. I'll tell you what. Now here's the deal. If that's true, and I haven't paid that much attention, that would be the AR is a little bit more suppressor friendly, especially if it's a piston gun, than like an AK. A nicely suppressed MCX in 7.62x39. That could be an interesting gun.
It could be. I'm telling you what. Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that I'm a SIG fanboy. I mean, I don't even try to hide that. I am. I would love to have an MCX in 7.62x39. I think it would be a riot.
Oh, I forgot to tell you. You know the 5.51A1 rifle that we've got? The SIG 5.51?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That we haven't fired. Still got the hang tags on it.
Which I am like, this summer I am dying to get that out.
We can't talk about it right now. Like, I think you can't say anything, but I'm going to tell you something. That dude that does the triggers that we talked about does triggers for that gun.
Oh, are you kidding me?
No.
He's got to be like the only one.
So, we'll see. Here's the thing. I bought a Ambi, is it Krebs? Somebody makes like a better safety selector for those guns.
I believe that's Krebs.
It's the rack that the SIG is on. I keep that gun's got. It's got its own custom magazine. So that gun, the magazines, and it's got ancillary parts. They all stay together because they're not common. They're not NATO standard stuff, so they can't float. And there's a selector over there too that needs to go on that gun. That gun with a selector and a new trigger in it.
Oh,
that could be really interesting to shoot a drill with, say like a 1 through 5 VTAC drill.
Oh yeah.
Oh dude, I didn't even talk about that.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, I'm real excited to get that out this summer.
Yeah, so that's there's actually, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna that meeting is likely to happen today.
Cool.
So. We'll go to that because my whole morning got all screwed up. That's you kind of seen some of that already. What the hell else was it? This is breaking because we're not talking about the Florida guy. And we wrote the article yesterday talking about how it's crazy how we handle crazy people in this country. And all you have to do to find the crazy people is just look at. Dude, yesterday, all you have to do to find the crazy people in America is talk to any beat cop and ask to see their 30-day calls for service, and you'll see the same fucking people again and again and again all throughout the month after month after month, because they're fucking crazy, and they just keep cycling through until they finally do something that they end up in prison. The Florida shooter guy, it's coming out now, 36 calls for service to his house.
There you go.
See, I mean, again, yeah, we have a fucking gun problem in this country. Bull fucking shit we do.
Look, anyone who listens to our podcast on a regular basis has heard us talk about this exact same thing before. And we don't need to get into it in this podcast because it'd just be rehashing what we've talked about. Go listen to other podcasts. You'll hear it.
36.
We've talked about this over and over and over again about how these people are. I mean, it's not a gun problem. It's a mental health problem in this freaking country.
Well, see, you know what? We're gonna step back from this, and we're gonna look at this from a law enforcement perspective in 2018, and a lot of people may not be aware of. So, in the old days, you would have a situation. Excuse me. In the old days, you would have a situation where, something happens, and then maybe you would talk to the cops. And, or the area, and people were like, yeah, we kind of know that dude. Well, see, the thing is now, everything is so computerized, and there's so much data being generated. People don't realize this, but, you're in the computer, okay? Like, you're in the computer, the computer systems as, not even as a criminal, but just contacts. You end up, your car's in the computer. You're in the computer. Like, oh yeah, John Doe, Social Security number, whatever, contact for this, ticket for this, whatever for this. What people don't realize now, a lot of people don't realize, is that your address is in the computer as well. So they're able to collate and curate 1234 Main Street, they can literally instantly pull up every call for service for that address going back to whenever they started computerizing this stuff. And it's not like, oh yeah, there's not going to be that many calls for service because it's only a 5-year-old system. Dude, there are addresses in this country where there's 15 calls for service every goddamn month. And so what you end up having is people may call and say, I'm John Doe, I need help, or I'm John Doe, whatever, and where are you at, sir? And boom, they give that address. You figure out it's a dope house, or you figure out this. See, and that's where you can't, the data, if all you have to do is data mine this guy in Florida, and people, it's crazy. It is fucking crazy how we don't deal with crazy people in this country.
Oh, I know. I know.
And the data is all you have to do is go look for it because it's all goddamn computerized. And they're keeping track of everything. And it's going to be, I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's, we're going to have to bring back like the Bellevues and the long views and the rubber rooms, and like every mid-sized city in the country probably needs a 400-bed mental health, a 400-bed, I would call resident, I would call compulsory resident treatment facility. And you would probably have to break it up, say 70-30, adults and minors. And people, they basically live there. Yeah. Because right now they just end up cycling through until they end up in the prison system.
Okay, the first thing you need to do, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you on that at all. Actually, I agree with you 110%. The first thing you need to do is reevaluate the HIPAA laws, because HIPAA holds a lot of this back. I mean, it does. I mean, you need to reevaluate HIPAA laws, because right now, with HIPAA laws, I mean, you have all these people out there that there's doctors that know these people are just loaded guns waiting to, they're just, they know they're dangerous, but they can't do anything.
I actually have an answer.
Well, the answer is to change the laws.
Well, I know I can even within the current, literally remove, you got to do something about the HIPAA laws. And insert the other argument we always hear because we're in this environment. Well, yeah, I don't want to, who's going to decide if you're going to take your gun rights away, or they're going to come and someone's going to make an accusation. And again, these are people that they do a drive-by on this stuff because they don't interface with crazy people on a regular basis. They read a headline and they see a news story and they see someone like us or someone on national television who's ranting and raving about how there's a problem, and then when it's in 72 hours, it's out of the news cycle, and they move on to the next goddamn story. The truth is, and you know this, dude, most of these people that are crazy don't turn crazy when they turn 18.
No.
Most of these people are crazy when they're 8, when they're 11, when they're 14, and when you're a minor, ladies and gentlemen, when you're a minor, you don't have First Amendment rights. When you're a minor, you don't have Second Amendment rights. We as a society have so much control over minors. We make minors do all kinds of things. And if they don't do it, we bring the guardians into the criminal justice system and make it a criminal case, and then if that fails or doesn't work, we make the minors wards of the state. We have a lot of control over minors. There is no reason. It used to be, and you know this, that little Johnny, when he was 8, was a problem, and the teachers would call somebody, and they would talk to somebody else, and then little Johnny would end up going off to go to at the time, their version of mental health. Little Johnny wasn't in school anymore.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Anyone listening to this who has a child or a nephew or a cousin's kid who's 7, 8, 9 years old and they, strangled their sibling's pet hamster to death or killed a neighbor's cat or skinned their dad's pet boa constrictor, those kids are problems, and they're going to grow up to be a problem because normal kids don't do that.
Well, here's an interesting thing. So we had a guy roll in, because again, we're not talking about Florida, we're talking about crazy. We had a guy roll in. Facebook was really interesting yesterday because we had a bunch of people that were like, they were real defensive about losing their gun rights, or we don't think we should do this or do that. And you get to talking to them, and a couple of them were like, I was misdiagnosed with schizophrenia when I was a kid, or I was this, or one guy was literally like, I had 3 DUIs, the third DUI was a felony, and, all this stuff, and I guess he got it cleaned up, and I guess he owns a gun now or something. And again, I'm not unsympathetic to these arguments, but a guy rolled in, he was real defensive, and he was talking about he's got a son who's diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic, and he was mistaking what I said as somehow we're going to take his child away from him, or we're going to do shit. And it's like, okay. I said, no, that's not the case. If you are maintaining control of your child, or whatever, that's totally fine. But then I told him, I said, okay, imagine this situation. Everything's under control now. You're, 40, 45, 50, whatever age this dude is. What happens when you're 80 and things change? Maybe the kid takes a turn for the worse. He still lives with you. You're 80 and he's beating the fuck out of you. Okay, so what's going to happen to that kid? That kid, who's now probably at the point he's going to be 50s, he's going to end up in prison. And there's really no system in place to take control of these people. We don't have these loony bins anymore. We have some most hospitals have like a small little ward for crazy insane people. They come into the fucking emergency room, take them up to the goddamn psych ward, but that's not long-term care. What they do is they dope them and they kick them. They dope them and they kick them back out. And I told this guy, I said, okay, so imagine this. Let's say you're 80 and you just can't do it anymore. You're having a hard time keeping the kid medicated. You're having a hard time doing whatever. You can't even wipe your own ass. And you're asking for help, and you're like, I need help. I can't, and where are you going to send this kid? Where are you going to get someone to help? Like, oh, maybe the kid's going to have to go live somewhere. And he actually admitted to me, he's like, there's been issues. Nobody will help me. And I said, yeah. And guess, you know what's going to end up happening? You're going to be 80. This kid can't do anything anymore. You can't, it does not working anymore. And the only way you're going to get this kid institutionalized, you're going to walk him outside of a bank, you're going to hand him a pistol, and you're going to say, Junior, go in there and rob that bank. Because that's the only way to get him fucking incarcerated. That's how out of goddamn control this is. And if you don't believe me, go to your goddamn local city police department, ask to see the fucking police blotter, calls for services on a 30-day cycle, and you'll see the same fucking people month after month after month. It's fucking insane.
It is, but it's, you know, it's no different than it was when we were talking about this a month ago or 2 months ago or 6 months ago or a year ago.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy how we handle crazy in this country.
The only difference in this conversation is today there's 17 more dead people.
Well, you know what? I could even go there even more. And again, we're not talking about Florida. We shut down all of these goddamn facilities in the 60s and 70s because there were tons of abuses.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Let's be real. That's what happened. Yeah. There was, I mean, there was a sexual abuse. They were like some of them were like pseudo-religious institutions. And so like residents were dying under nefarious circumstances, being buried in the backyards. They're still digging up fucking graves in some of these places. I mean, it's so out of control. But it's interesting now. I can pick up my goddamn cell phone and I can literally zap in and look at cameras anywhere on the reservation. Yeah. I mean, inside, outside, by the gates, this, that. I mean, you know, with technology and the amount of people and things that we can do now, there is no reason that we can't have these facilities that are residential facilities. There is so much. You can put cameras in every goddamn room. You can put microphones in every goddamn room. Well, what about privacy law? When you're crazy, you don't have any fucking laws. So you don't have any rights. So here's my point. You know, we can easily monitor this stuff so nothing happens. And if something happens, we know very, very goddamn quickly and we can nip it in the bud. Or, you know, as it could be, you know, it's like, well, but that's not perfect. Yeah, well,
nothing's perfect though.
Yeah, you know, and here's another thing. And again, nobody wants to talk about this. You know, we talked about, you know, when little Johnny is 8 years old, he doesn't have gun rights. He doesn't have Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. He's a ward of somebody, and you know that's not politically correct to admit that. But you can mentally adjudicate these people as when they're minors the way we used to, and that way they never grow up to be able to get goddamn guns. Okay. And then all the problems with the current police system, basically the police system, criminal justice system, really is our mental health system, which is a fucking joke. And here's the other thing nobody wants to goddamn admit. How many of these crazy fucking Muslim attacks, yeah, they're, quote, Muslim, realistically, they're just mentally fucking ill.
Yeah.
It's not zero. And it's not,
no.
It's not like 2%. Some of these people, when you look at them and you listen to them talk, I'd guess a full 30% of them are actually crazy. Because crazy is attracted to crazy shit.
Yeah.
And wanting to strap a bomb to your fucking body and walk into the middle of a goddamn crowd is not religion, it's crazy. And I don't mean like, oh, that's so fucking crazy. I mean like, no, cuckoo, fucking crazy. That guy literally needs to be fucking, you know, adjudicated. He needs to be fucking put in a rubber room. You know, I mean, nope, but it's like all these separate little silos of bullshit everywhere, and everybody, oh, you can't talk about this, you can't, you know, oh, your second, Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights, oh, your Second Amendment rights in this silo, oh, religion's in this silo, none of it's connected. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy how we handle crazy in this country.
Yep. Well, hey! You know, and again, you know, this is nothing we haven't talked about over and over again.
Hey, in Olympic news, a Japanese speed skater tested positive for I assume it's PEDs. Have you ever seen a muscular Japanese athlete?
No.
I'm dying to like see the dude.
Sumo wrestlers. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, you know what? We need a little karma to make us all feel better because I know I just like ranted and rated in people's ear. Did you?
Yeah,
dude. Did you hear about the poacher in Africa that was eaten by lions?
Actually, I did hear about it, but I didn't read about it because I don't really care.
South Africa. I think this was in Kruger. Okay, a suspected big cat poacher has been eaten by lions near Kruger National Park in South Africa. The animals left little behind, but some body parts were found over the weekend at the game park.
Didn't they find like his head or something like that?
Probably. I don't think the lions eat the head. It's just because it's a big, hard thing. It seems the victim was poaching in the game park and attacked the Limpopo police. That's actually it's called Limpopo if you've never been there. They ate his body near all of it and just left his head and some remains. A loaded hunting rifle and ammunition were found next to the body. Oh. I wonder what the gun was. You think we could reach out to the Limpopo Police Department and get some clarification as to what the gun was?
Probably not.
What was the gun they used on? Because we had the guy that. No, we did not the guy, but when they shot Harambe, we were curious what gun. And it turns out it was a Winchester Model 70 in 375 Holland. They apparently that's what they're like their animal response team or that's what they use. They keep 375s on hand.
Yep.
Because I don't know. Like when I think of poacher in Africa, I think of an AK-47. No, it's whatever.
You never know. But yeah, good one for the Lions.
Good one to Lions 1, Poacher 0.
Yeah, hey, whatever. Look, I'm a big fan of big game hunting in Africa, and I don't want to get into a big pissing match of, I know a lot of people don't like it. Safari hunting. That's fine, I do. But I also don't agree with poaching either. So, anytime a poacher gets snarfed up by a lion or killed by an elephant or mauled by a rhinoceros or, whatever, I'm okay with that.
Oh, yeah, no. See, if you're for 3 seconds, if you're like this greeny hippie guy and you're like, I hate these fucking guys and, and I have your ear for 3 seconds, this is where like a lot of the hippies don't understand. Hunters shoot poachers.
Yeah.
On my family farm, my grandfather's farm growing up, he had posted no hunting all over his property, and it was understood because we're hunting you. If we find you on the farm and you're poaching on our property, you're going to get poached yourself. And that's the way it used to be back in the day. It used to, and again, this isn't politically correct, but it used to be what they would do is they would send around your way because they on my grandpa's farm, it was down in Virginia and you could see pretty far because it's in the hills, and they could send around near you to let you know they see you and you best fucking leave. Your warning would be a bullet going near you. And you're like, oh, what the fuck? And you might hear, hey, off in the distance, fuck you. Pow. Like, oh, fuck, I better get the hell out of here.
Well, back long ago, poaching on someone's land's taking food off that family's table.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I don't think I've ever told this story on a podcast. See, and this is where things are different because things are kind of different now. So, like today, if you're out in the woods and you run across a bunch of people doing illegal shit, you're either going to run across they're growing marijuana or maybe they're cooking meth, right? That's that's kind of really the only two, maybe a poacher, but the poacher doesn't really, isn't invested in, the poacher will skedaddle. Where like the dopers will come in, they'll set up, booby traps because they need to, they're doing something in that area. They want to keep you away. Well, see, back in the 70s, the big problem in like Virginia, in the hills of Virginia, was moonshine. And it was understood, we were instructed, if we're ever out in the woods, way off from like where the farmhouses and farms were, that there's no camping, there's no whatever. If you see a camp out in the woods, you run and you come get us right now, because it's moonshiners and they'll hurt you. And if they caught moonshiners on the property, they would fucking gun you down. Because the moonshiners would kill you. Because I realize this was different. Back in the 70s, there was no cell phones. There was no is it literally the phone line to the farm in Virginia, probably well until the 90s, was a party line that like multiple houses shared, and like you could pick up the phone because they only had one phone.
Yeah, the younger listeners won't know what a party line is.
Yeah, it's a landline that the phone, like if it rang in your house, it would ring in like 3 other houses. Like you could literally pick up the phone to make a call, and you could hear people talking. Oh, I'm sorry, Mavis. We'll just be 10 more minutes, Marky. Oh, okay, sorry. And you hang up the phone because they all shared a line for money, yes. And yeah. They didn't even have the resources to run multiple lines. It just was a different time. That was the big thing back then. Was moonshine was a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I remember, like, there used to, I saw it on cable because I don't watch TV, but I saw commercials for it, like on like Spike or like these reality TV shows. They were trying to do one where it was like trying to catch the moonshiners, and you could tell they were kind of recreating all of it, but I always wanted to watch it to see like if there was any overlap to my childhood with the moonshiners, because that was the crime, was moonshining when I was a kid. That was the crime. They used to call them, like, the cops that would come and get them were called revenue officers. Mm-hmm. They were from the state, and it was just a different time.
Yeah, I have family coming from Kentucky, the hills of Kentucky. I have great uncles that actually were moonshiners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean,
I've heard lots and lots of stories about relatives cooking moon.
Well, were they selling it, or was it kind of? I mean, maybe they would sell it to close family and friends, but was it more for like local consumption, or were they reselling it?
No, they were distilling it and selling it. That's how they made money.
And and if y'all may have heard of them. They became NASCAR.
Yeah, no, none of my relatives went into NASCAR.
That's how NASCAR got started. A lot of people don't realize that. It was moonshiners.
Yeah.
Because there used to be these big car chases with the revenue officers. So yeah. Hey, there was a picture that I sent you that you were like, oh yeah, that's been out for a while, that was showing a AR pistol with the forend blown out on it or something.
Oh yeah, the handguard is split. It's like Elmer Fudd's rifle when Bug sticks a carrot in the end of it. It's just peeled back. So
because you've seen it in like all these little AR groups. What's the story?
Okay, what it is they're running like a like a 7.5 or like say a 10, like on the upper I have. I'm running a 10.5 inch barrel, but I've got a 11.5 inch handguard on it. Well, so the handguard's longer than the barrel when you put your muzzle device on it. Well, I'm using a flash can, and we talked about this on the last podcast.
The CAC thing.
Yes. Well, what this person did is they put a brake on the end of their barrel. Well, 75% of the brake is under the handguard. And well, you know what a brake does? And basically the pressure just basically blew the handguard out because all the gases coming out of the side of the brake are hitting that handguard because the handguard is longer than the barrel. And, it
just blew it out.
Yeah, it blew it out. It's an interesting picture. I don't know what kind of handguard it was. I didn't pay attention to it. I'm assuming it, was aluminum,
Yeah.
And yeah, it just, I don't know how many rounds it took it to do that, but, yeah, don't run a handguard longer than your barrel when you're running a break.
We'll post pictures of it. We'll post pictures of it in the thing, but it's I guess it's a tough lesson people have to learn. I mean, you want to make these uber short guns. There's reasons why certain things are longer than other things.
And realistically, if you're running a 10.5-inch barrel, do you need a brake on it?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that was not a wise muzzle device decision.
I mean, flash hider for sure on it. I mean, I don't. At some point, like how much shit over just. I mean, there's not a flash hider made. I mean, I don't know. How much gas and unburnt powder can you throw out of a gun where basically a flash hider becomes useless? You know what I mean? I mean, it's like you just can't. It's like, sorry, there's nothing we can do. You got to put a longer barrel on that bitch. I mean,
yeah. Well, and I don't know. Maybe the picture doesn't really show how long the barrel was. Maybe it was a 7.5-inch barrel, and the guy put a brake on it. Well, you got all kinds of gases and unburnt powder and all that kind of shit on that short barrel.
Yeah.
So, lesson learned.
Lesson learned. Hey, on the milsurp front, I've got good news. I mean, we'll never buy one because we're not going to pay the prices. It's going to be crazy. But the civilian marksmanship program, the CMP group up at Camp Perry, I'm assuming it's at Camp Perry. They could be in Alabama. But they have received the first, that's my word of the day, tranche. They received their first tranche of 8,000 1911s from the Army.
Outstanding.
So it's going to be interesting to see what these guns look like. Because, dude, these guns, especially like in the 70s, like after Vietnam, man, they rebuilt. I mean, none of these guns are matching anything. The only interesting thing on these guns will be markings on the frame and slide because it's all going to be Mixmaster shit. It's just nothing.
Yeah,
there's nothing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's no going to be like all. I mean, I'm sure there'll be one.
There's going to be no all matching.
But you know what? Here, look, the CMP isn't stupid. If they pull out some gun, that they're able. It's got like a bunch of like super uber like desirable things about this gun. I'm going to say things because you just never know what you're going to end up with. They're not going to kick that out the front door with their public sales. They will actually document all that it is, and they'll auction it individually and start the auction at like $8,000.
Yeah, when they come across a 1942 dated Singer 1911 slide, that happens to be on the correct frame, that's not going to be the $1,000 gun going out the front door.
Yeah, see, and things have changed with CMP ever since they kind of switched from being the DCM. They don't kick out gold bricks anymore. Because like, what the hell was it? The CMP got. The hell was it? It was some test rifle from the Marine Corps, or a sniper rifle, and I think it even had like one of those Unerdal optics on it, and they didn't kick that fucker out as like a, M40 bolt. They opened up an auction site, and I think that gun was starting at like $6,000 or $7,000. Maybe 10. I mean, you know what? I think it might have been 10 because the optic is worth. The Unerdal 10 power optic from, it had like one of the original Marine Corps optics that someone had thrown on this gun, and yeah, they don't do that anymore. You're not going to get, it's not a lottery ticket anymore. Like, oh my,
no.
you're not going to get a 1911 from the CMP, take the grips off of it and see Chesty Puller is scratched underneath, it's just not going to happen. So, but, they've apparently confirmed the order. We posted at least 9 days prior to the release of the pistols. So they will give everybody a 90-day heads up when these things start coming out. And, the thing is 8,000 pistols enough to start, rebuild, to start selling these? Because they're not going to sell 8,000 pistols. They're going to break a lot of these guns down and use them for donor guns.
Well, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what happens. I'm real interested in seeing pictures of the first batch that actually hits the market, and I think a lot of people are too, because I mean the price on them. What is it, like $1,100?
Oh, I don't think they've ever said.
I mean, I've been hearing, price blurbs on it.
I think that's coming from people on the internet. I don't think that's coming from CMP at all.
Well, regardless, they're not going to be $500 guns.
No.
I mean, it's not like back in the 80s when you could get a CMP Grand for $100. Those days are gone.
Those days are gone.
Look, the people that jump on them, when they first start coming out, they'll be posting pictures of them on the internet of what they're getting. And that's going to decide on whether, look, they're all going to sell. Don't get me wrong. People are going to buy these, but whether they become the hottest seller of the day or whether they just, trickle out is going to depend on the quality that we see when the first batch gets released.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I'm looking at it strictly from an economic point of view, because I think initially people are going to, they're going to overpay for these guns, and they're going to start being resold, and then it'll be CMP papered 1911s, and it'll be stupid money, and then more and more and more, because, dude, they made so many of these guns, are going to be eventually coming out, that it's going to kind of right price the market. I think the GI Colt market is, I haven't followed it that closely, but I suspect it's probably skewed. And I'm not saying that the price of these CMP guns will collapse. It won't, because there'll always be papered CMP guns. But what it might do is all these Uncle Bubba's, C-bag bring back guns, it'll right price those because they don't have paper. And it'll kind of maybe make the market a little bit more realistic.
Yeah.
Because I think the price of a GI 1911 gun right now has no bearing on how many they made. I mean, you would know, but how many? How many goddamn 1911s did we made? So many of these guns during World War II, we never made any more because we never ran out of them.
Oh, I mean, look, there's websites where you can go and it'll tell you by year and by manufacturer how many 1911s were produced for the civilian and military market.
Yeah, and I just don't think it's as any bear, because like I used to be deep in the 1911 game, and the GI 1911 guys, I always kind of found them a little off-putting. So I just, because you're really into like the whole, that phenomenon. Everything I have is solid gold, and everything you have is dog shit kind of, deal. They will talk down and shit on everything you've got. Then when they turn around, and literally they will turn around, if they buy something from you, they'll turn around and treat you like the shit they just bought from you is solid gold, and now everything you have is dog. You know what I mean? It's this very like, we're elite, you're not. I'm special, you're not. And I just really hate that. I really dislike that entire thing, because and kind of the whole idea of like a GI gun to me was, it's daddy's gun from the war, and daddy wasn't spec ops. Daddy drove deuce and a halves. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, give me a fucking break. I mean, it's it's a cool gun, it's a nice piece of American history, everybody should have one, but stop pretending like these things are the Mona Lisa. You know how it is. All the collectors get douchey. And it turns me off.
Trust me. Trust me. I'm well aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm deep into the Blazer game, and I'm going to be straight up here, dude. Most of them guys in the Blazers, they are douchebags. I mean, it's just like, God, you guys, shut up. Just shoot your fucking gun.
But here's the thing. It's like that with everything. I mean, right now, I'm kind of following a bunch of different AR groups because, we've been fooling around with ARs and, we built the SP1 and I'm building a pistol and, so it's interesting to me and I'm following it. But again, when you start talking about, AR lowers, in brands and it's like, well, the guys who spend $300 or $400 on a stripped 100% AR lower have to talk shit about the guy who spends $40 on the same lower, and
all the engineering's in the upper. Shh.
I mean, look, it's the same way with the Blazer guys. Look, you're a Blazer guy. You got, $20,000 invested in Blazer crap that on a good day, if you needed to come up with money, you'd be lucky to get $8,000 for it all. But, you got to shit on everyone else because you got so much fucking money tied up into your stupid shit. You have to justify it to yourself.
Yeah, I like the Blazer gun. I don't like necessarily the people that shoot. I mean, I'm just, no. We're never going to get that goddamn call from Blazer USA now.
Look, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with paying $500 for a stripped AR lower. There's nothing wrong with spending $20,000 on a Blazer with a bunch of different caliber conversions, if that's what you want. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I find is the douchebags, and this is what I'm talking about, the douchebags out there, they have to justify to themselves that, I don't buy, this is my favorite, I don't buy cheap guns. If you want a cheap build, go ahead and do that. It's like, what do you mean cheap? Cheap because I spent a fraction of what you spent to have the same goddamn gun. And that's where the douchebaggery comes in. Look, if you want to spend $500 and get the fancy fucking lower with a gilded bronze dildo attached to the magwell, then go for it.
Fuck.
That's fine.
Fuck. That if we ever come out with a limited edition lower, can y'all put a big old dildo on the front of that? I got some gold paint.
You know what I'm saying is true.
It is. Look, and especially the lower game. I mean, especially now with machining the way it is, it's not rocket science to make sure all your trigger holes are lined up correctly, especially if they're machining it. Like I have no doubt. Again, I could be wrong, but statistically speaking, I'm sure the pinholes on an Anderson line up just as well as the pinholes line up on a Noveske.
They do.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, come on.
Now, here's the big argument, because when you sit there and put a Noveske lower next to an Anderson lower and put blue painter's tape over all the logos to where you can't tell which lower is which, and you take out your micrometer and start measuring things, and you realize everything's the same. And if I tell you to turn around and I play the shell game with the cups and say which is the Noveske and which is the Anderson, and you can't tell me which is which, here's the fallback argument. Well, Anderson used to have a lot of quality control problems, and in the early days, some of the parts weren't, in spec and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, but if you get your Anderson lower and it's not in spec, you send it back and you get another one. Or if it is in spec, it's in spec, and in spec is in spec. And then
so let me translate that to people at home that want to, basically, one has magic and one doesn't.
Yes. Oh, and this is my favorite. This is my all-time favorite AR douchebag argument. when you get on the AR forums, if you want to find out who the biggest douchebag making comments and posts is, find the guy who actually takes the time to type out, well, mil-spec is made by the lowest, how do they put it?
The lowest bidder, the lowest.
Yeah. Mil-spec is made by the lowest bidder. Really?
Well, look, these are all at the end of the day, what you have is you have a bunch of people circle jerking on a keyboard and they're not actually shooting. And I'm going to segue this into another story out of the Dallas Morning News and prove a point with this AR thing. There's a story, there's a new long distance rifle shot. Now, it's a new world record or whatever record, who cares? At some point, because, it's like, West Texas marksman reportedly breaks distance record with 3-mile shot. And I'll have to post a picture of the headline of the Dallas Morning News, but they've got a huge piece of steel cut. And, it's interesting the way we even got a relief cut. I'm like, why did you even do that? Oh man, they might even have the steel zip tied to a frame. But they show the shot, they show the target, and the guy standing there pointing to the hit, and it says on it in marker, 3 miles, 8 shots, January 14th of 2018, and it's 408 SHITAC. Now here's the thing, 408 SHITAC. That's all you need to know. No one is asking, well, is it a whatever SHITAC, or is it a whatever SHITAC, or is it a this whatever, is it an Anderson SHITAC, or is it a Noveske SHITAC? The dude hit the goddamn target at 3 miles. And see, this is where nobody asks when people are actually shooting the gun and actually accomplishing things, like not just blasting, but actually, I am going to shoot this VTAC drill 1 through 5. Boom, 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 boom. I am going to shoot for 3 miles. Boom, clang. No one ever goes, it doesn't really count because it was an Anderson.
Yeah.
It's a huge, and it's amazing to me how many gun guys never notice that disconnect. Again, it's a typical case of internet douchebaggery. They have to measure themselves by how much money they put into their weapon and that they built, and they have to lambaste anyone who doesn't spend that kind of money. Comments like, well, it's mil-spec, or it's okay for a budget build, or, okay, for your first one. And it's like, okay, so you're giving like backhanded belittled slights. It's like, stop. Well, because it's easy to buy coolness instead of actually try to achieve it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I posted a video earlier this week, maybe, or maybe it was last week, I'm not sure. I shot the VTAC 1 through 5 drill. And we had a lot of problems setting this up because, dude, we could not find what a standard VTAC drill even is supposed to be. Like I've seen Kyle Lamb say it's 6 yards. He shoots it, or 5 yards. I'm sorry, he shoots it at 5 meters, which is 5.4 yards. And so I set it up at 5 yards, not realizing it was in meters. And then I saw a measurement where the targets were supposed to be 1.5 yards apart. So I set them 1.5 yards apart. But then when you look at a lot of the people that are shooting this drill, they're not even close to that being that far apart. So, but
the common distance that I usually see is basically one target width apart from each other. Yeah.
So, but I figure, well, I shot it. It's set up. We've got it on film. I shot it with a Colt SP1. This is where I'm going to hook it into what we're talking about. I mean, this is a gun from the 70s with a carry handle on it, no red dot, GI trigger, 20-inch barrel, and from the beep at low ready, not starting at the first with your gun pointed at the first target, which I notice a lot of people on the internet do. I was able to get it down to 3.07 seconds on a 1 through 5.
Which is rocking, man.
I mean, yeah, I'd like to break 3. Like, I know Lamb, he shoots it, he shoots it under 3.
Well, I mean, I think if your targets would have been one target width apart, that would have probably sped your time up a little bit.
Maybe. Maybe not. I can live with it. But, but here's the thing. Like, I shot that with a GI fucking trigger and a bullshit set of sights and a 20-inch gun. I mean, let's be real. A Colt SP1. Remember, it was built with the lowest. Remember, mil-spec is the lowest bidder. I mean, I could have shot that with an Anderson. I could have shot that with a Smith & Wesson. I could have shot that with a Bushmaster. And as a matter of fact, we will shoot it with all those. Just to prove the point. Because at the end of the day, nobody gave a fuck that I shot that drill with a bullshit gun. They were like, that's respectable run. Yeah, and a 20-inch gun with iron sights, that's even more respectable. It's not second coming of Jesus, but that's cool. No one gives, that fucking gun, dude. I mean, come on. I mean, fuck you. That's the difference between the people that are doing and the people that are jerking off. And so, we're going to, like, when you get your pistol build done.
Yeah.
I would love to shoot that on a VTAC. I've never shot, I don't think I've ever shot a pistol AR before, and I would be real curious. I mean, could I shoot a VTAC 1 through 5 drill super fast and not set my eyebrows on fire with the blast?
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out, and it's going to be cool. And it's like, just get out and do, just at some point, are you shooting guns, or are you, kind of being a jackass? It's just like, whatever. I'm just kind of over that. Hey, do you remember, because the guy emailed me last night. I don't know why he emailed me. I wish he just left a comment on the blog page. The PTR-91, the G3 truck gun. I got that collapsible stock for it.
Yes.
And there's 2 versions of that stock. There's one that's got a small butt pad surface because and the reason they did it is because when you want to launch rifle grenades, it takes the leg off the bottom, because the original one with the large butt pad, which is what we have, and it's more comfortable to shoot, if you shoot a rifle grenade with it, it breaks the bottom leg off the thing. So they upgraded it, made it smaller. Do you remember what that's called? The guy was like, what is that goddamn stock? I want that for my gun. I'm trying to find one. And I was like,
you mean what is the stock called?
Yeah, do you remember?
Oh, shit. Hell no, I don't remember.
Okay.
I mean, shoot, we were fooling around with changing the stock on that gun, what, 3 years ago?
That's why I was like, it was late. I was like, I'm trying to get to bed. I'll deal with this guy tomorrow. And,
no, I have no freaking clue. Because, I mean, let's see. What do we have? Counting the original that came with gun, what do we have? 3 stocks laying around for that gun?
I think we've only got 2. We got the original stock that's a green stock that, and then it's got
and then we bought a side folder.
Oh, fuck, we did. You're right.
Yeah.
That piece of shit, you are correct. That piece of shit chote stock. Oh, God, you are actually, we do have 3 stocks for that.
Yeah.
I'll have to dig around the armory and find that motherfucker. Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
So, no, I have no clue what this stock's actually freaking called.
Yeah. You know what? We've been going pretty long. You want to end this on a good police blotter?
Yeah, sure.
New York Post covering the police blotter in Pennsylvania. Here's the headline. Pastor says nothing weird was going on with bound naked man in car. Let me read it again. Pastor says nothing weird was going on with bound naked man in car. Bound is in like tied the fuck up. So, okay. Let's see here. A Pennsylvania pastor inside insists he was merely counseling a naked man cops found both with nylon rope in a parked car on a residential street, saying, and he quote said, "I have nothing to hide." George Nelson Gregory, 61, was sitting in the back seat of a car parked outside a house in Homestead when cops, responding to a call from a suspicious vehicle, call for service, spotted a naked man bound with nylon rope in the front seat around 11:30 p.m.
Okay.
Witness told the police the naked man got out of the car in full view of his daughter's window. Let's see here. Okay, Gregory told the officers that he and the other unidentified man were, quote, just playing in a consensual setting, adding that they, quote, meet up from time to time to play with each other. Hold on. I did nothing wrong. I have nothing to hide. Okay, here's his quote. So it went from, is this quote, because he's speaking to the media. "I was counseling a young man with a drug problem," Gregory told the station. Quote,
okay.
"It did turn strange, but it wasn't my doing, okay? And I was animate that I'm participating in that way. And so that's when the police pulled up and they assumed things, but I'm standing by my story. It's not true." And then it goes on. It's just like, oh, dude, he's not saying stack of Bibles, is he? Ah.
No. Don't tell me there's no stack of Bibles mentioned here.
Oh, yeah. Dude. Quote, "I won't deny that he began to take his clothes off and propositioned me. But I will deny, on a stack of Bibles with God as my witness, that I did nothing." This time.
Nice.
There's no reason for me to be charged with open lewdness.
Nice. Open lewd. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. That's awesome.
It's just like, look, not every goddamn police call needs to be like life or death. Sometimes you gotta. Sometimes you need to find a bound naked man in the front seat of a car. And remember that the next time you want to contact your local police department and see the public record of the body cameras.
Yes.
All right. So this wraps
awesome.
up episode 86 of the John1911 Podcast. If you want to see some pictures of some of the stuff we talked about, go to our blog page, John1911.com. If you like this podcast, think about leaving us a review on iTunes, or I guess we're on, I can't remember what the other one is. The one so you can listen to it on iHeartRadio. So if there's feedback on iTunes or iHeartRadio, leave us some feedback there. And special thanks to our sound engineer Mitch for helping us keep the costs down. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
See you later.